Black veteran denied first-class seat. 45 minutes later, whole airline is in chaos. Before we dive in this story, hit the comments and tell us your city or country. Let's see how far this story reaches. If you like the video, please subscribe. He served his country honorably, flew missions no one dared, and proudly wore his scars. But when retired Air Force Major Leonard Brooks boarded a commercial flight, dressed in a modest suit with a cane in hand, something happened that shouldn't have happened. The gate agent looked him up and down, then laughed. "Sir, this line is for first class only." Leonard was holding a first-class ticket, but she didn't believe it. And by the time the flight landed, the entire airline was in chaos. What could a veteran do that would shake a whole corporation? Watch till the end. Leonard Brooks was a 65-year-old black veteran, calm, soft-spoken, and highly decorated. He earned peace after 32 years of service, including 3 tours overseas. Now retired, he flew from Atlanta to Seattle to visit his newborn granddaughter. It was a gift from his daughter, first class, nonstop. He arrived early, ticket in hand, standing tall despite the pain in his knee from an old war injury. To most, he looked like a quiet older man with a cane. But his story was carved in medals, folded flags, and names of comrades long gone. As he approached the first-class boarding gate, he felt proud not just for the seat, but for what it represented: dignity, respect. But the woman scanning the tickets didn't see any of that. She saw a black man she assumed didn't belong. And that one assumption was about to set off a chain of events no one saw coming. The gate agent didn't even scan the ticket when Leonard handed it to her. She smirked and pointed to the economy line. "Sir, first class is for premium passengers," she said. "This is probably a mistake." He tried to speak, but she waved him off. People behind him began to stare. Some chuckled. Others looked away. One business traveler muttered, "They always try to sneak up here." Leonard opened his wallet and calmly pulled out his military ID, boarding pass, and even his service commendations. He still carried them. She took the boarding pass, frowned, and then called a supervisor. Still, she didn't apologize. Instead, they whispered, chuckled, and reluctantly let him through. On board, things didn't get better. A white man in the seat next to Leonard called a flight attendant and loudly asked to be moved, saying, "I paid for peace, not politics." Leonard sat still, silent, but someone else didn't. A young woman across the aisle had been watching it all. She got up, pulled out her phone, and began recording. Not just that moment, but the entire crew's dismissive behavior, the glares, the comments, the smirks. The story spread before the wheels even left the ground. By the time they landed, her video had gone viral. Millions were watching. Veterans groups were furious. Civil rights organizations got involved. And corporate executives were waking up to a storm they couldn't contain. As Leonard exited the plane, a crowd had formed at the Seattle terminal. Reporters, activists, and veterans with signs that read, "He served, you judged." Airline executives stood waiting, visibly shaken. The CEO himself was on a Zoom call demanding answers. The gate agent and flight attendant were immediately suspended. But more than that, the airline stocks had begun to dip. Customers were canceling. Military partnerships were reevaluated. Leonard, still quiet, was handed a microphone. Cameras flashed. He looked into the lens and said, "I fought for this country so we all could be treated with dignity. Not just in war, but here at home." It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. But it pierced the silence. In that moment, the airline shame was undeniable. Leonard didn't ask for compensation or sue. He simply asked for training mandatory racial bias education for all airline staff. Within weeks, not only was it implemented, but several other airlines followed suit. He returned home to meet his granddaughter, holding her tiny hand with the D. Same strength that had carried him through battlefields and boardings. But millions online were still talking. How could a man serve honorably only to be treated with suspicion? How many others had no cameras watching? And how many more stories like Leonard's remain untold? In a world that praises freedom, dignity shouldn't be a privilege but a guarantee. What country and city are you watching from? Let's make this conversation global. Drop it in the comments. Take care.